basement. Level vibes with another one. Straight up. Blackness, aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather round, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and on the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata, Francis Vietnam, and since 1965, I become a voter. And I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
Hawk?
There and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Sujurong?
Sue. Oh, Sue. My relationship? Nothing. He is.
How we gonna do a body man walk right now? You ready? Fuck, let me go now. Hear me sing now. Body walk. Body walk. Body walk. Body walk. Truck. Body walk. Body walk. Body walk. Body. Listen. Body jump. 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 Hear me sing. So big body can't wear it tight pants. Big body jump.
Let's start right off the bat with this here. Good night and welcome to Straight Up. My name is Mark Benshop. If you are at the gate, it simply means, and the gate is shut, it means that you did not log on before 8:30 or by 8:30. Anything after 8:30, you will be shut out of this show. You've got to be here on time. Again, I repeat, we're not going to be lenient with you guys like those professors, David Hines and Professor Paul Slow and other teachers and so forth. This is a serious classroom. If you are not here by 8:30, you are shut out. As we say in Guyana, story done. Now, it was brought to my attention, and Lemon has asked for forgiveness. Maybe one or two regular listeners were accidentally shut out of the program. They were accidentally shut out, meaning that they were accidentally blocked. We will try to correct that. I think one or two persons, so we don't want folks to get angry. But let me take time out to say goodnight to all the folks out in the UK. As you all know, it's almost, what time is it there, Miss Chapman? It's almost, what is it, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock there, or maybe just after midnight in the UK. So we're glad that you guys are up. You guys are watching us. Just give us a quick, what is it, a quick hint as to where you are. Clouds592 is happy that he or she, looks like a he, and again, sorry about that. So good night to all, every single one of you. Spread the word, share the link. Lachman Aziz, good night to you. Brenda Braithwaite, good night. Desiree Chapman is saying it's 1 hour 38, and in fact, it's 38 minutes after 1 o'clock. If our operator can try to, let's try to see if we get in touch with Tom Anderson. We have some things we want to talk about, American politics, Guyana as well. Wayne Caesar, where is Wayne? Wayne has been busy with his work. I think he's been out of town on assignment and so forth. Hopefully when he gets back, you will see him right in the studio with us. But for now, he's joining us via the audience at nights whenever he can. So good night to all of you, Booker, Denise Booker, Esther Allen, every single one of you. All right, so let's head back here now. Here's what I want to talk about. Jagdeo and these Kunumunus. You know, we usually start off with Jagdeo and these Kunumunus. Jagdeo and these Kunumunus are persecuting these individuals. And it's time that those in Guyana, in the opposition and so forth, it's time they step their game up. They need to step their game up because these people are being persecuted. These people are being, they have been accused wrongfully, and for four plus years, three of them, Roxanne Myers, Keith Lowenfield, and Mr. Mingo, they cannot work. They just cannot work, and this is unfair that these people are being persecuted, and others as well are being persecuted. We all know that the elections, there wasn't any rigged elections, and what we are seeing in Guyana is a change of regime. The PPP regime was installed. That is why Jagdeo and all these people, they are running, and they're trying to cover up their tracks. Maybe one day we'll have Mike Pompeo, former CIA director and former Secretary of State, U.S. Secretary of State, who seemed to be a good friend or maybe a consultant to the PPP. I don't know whether he's a consultant. I don't know whether he's a good friend, or I don't know what it is. But what we do know is that Mike Pompeo seems to be frequenting Guyana as frequently as possible. I don't know, but we can read between the lines. Maybe we'll ask Tom when he gets on here about that. But in my opinion, and I know that my opinion is not far off from your opinions as well, that something is not normal. Something is not normal that you have a former CIA director, you have a former U.S. Secretary of State is frequenting Guyana. What's happening? Is it an official? Obviously, it can't be an official business. Is it that Mike Pompeo is a consultant to the PPP regime? Is it that Mike Pompeo is a consultant to Exxon? What exactly is happening here? Now, Mike Pompeo is not an ordinary guy in a sense. He's a former top official. He's not a Looney Tune. He's a bright guy, a graduate of West Point. And as you know, not that anybody goes to West Point. It's just like, well, we know any person can attend IFLOT University, where Irfan Ali attended, a ghost university in IFLOT University. And so Mike Pompeo is in Guyana as often. We have never seen this before. that a former secretary, U.S. Secretary of State, and a former CIA director is in Guyana as often as Mike Pompeo. And the regime, the installed PPP regime, has to come out, and in the interest of transparency, they got to come out and say, what was this recent trip to Guyana by Mike Pompeo? What was it all about? And people need to know. People should know. This should not be pushed under the rug, so to speak. What was this all about? Notice on Jack Deere's page, Jack Deere only put the man who disguised himself there as what was it? Vice president, the so-called vice president of Guyana, the so-called vice president. He now put photographs of himself and Mike Pompeo. Irfan Ali did the same. So they're competing against each other. And that's what's happening here. They are competing against each other. Not a photograph with Irfan Ali and Mike Pompeo on Jack Deere's page, but just himself and Mike Pompeo. Then on Irfan Ali's page, a photograph of Irfan Ali and Mike Pompeo. So it appears that these guys are running and racing each other. Today, apart from the comedy show yesterday, Irfan Ali called a press conference. And guess what? He called a press conference, a so-called press conference. But guess what? Just females. He just wants to talk to the females. That's all. A press conference right after the comedy show. A press conference with the females. I don't know. I haven't listened to the press conference. I don't know what it was about, but I am almost certain that tough questions weren't asked. So you single out a female journalist, you want to talk to them. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you guys. If Irfan Ali wants to come on this show and be interviewed, I'd love to have him on the show. I'm not kidding you. These guys have to stop running and do softball interviews. They got to come. If Irfan Ali picks the phone up right now, and he knows my number, if he picks the phone up and I can call him, maybe I should. How many of you guys think I should give him a call right now on his phone and ask him if he wants to be interviewed on Straight Up 107.1 FM? How many of you guys, I work for you. And this is what a lot of those politicians in Guyana or wherever else, they should know. I work for you. Pro bono, for free, right? I work for you. And all of you guys are saying, go ahead and call him. Go ahead and call him. I don't know what you guys think. Maybe if Tom joins us, I'll ask Tom. But what do you guys, seriously? You guys know I'm not kidding. Keith Beresford and the whole crew saying, call him, call him, call him. You guys are tempting me, right? Sometimes I don't really like to talk to these guys. I'll be honest with you. And that might be the only reason why I probably wouldn't call. Even though a lot of you saying, call him, call him, call him, call him. Call him. I'm sure you ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't lie to you guys, right? Oh, you can't see it, right? But I do have his number in my phone. Have I spoken to him? No. But I do have all their numbers. Jamal Aziz is saying that I'm a bluff. No. And it's something that I wouldn't do to you guys. I wouldn't lie to you guys at all. I wouldn't. But I just probably would just bypass that. I wouldn't call him. Even though majority of you are saying, call him, call him, call him. You guys want him to hang up the phone on me publicly, huh? Publicly, y'all want him to hang up the phone on me. We'll be right back. Yep, sorry about that. But yeah, you guys want to set me up, right? So let's go back again. How many of you guys think that I should call him right now? All of you guys saying call him, 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 call him. You know he's watching because somebody already tagged him and say, if Ben Sharp calls you, don't pick up. Joylyn Cutting, how are you doing? Anyways, I was going to say happy birthday to your significant other, Joylyn. So you guys are saying, all of you guys are saying, call him, call him, call him, call him, call him, call him. Right? Now you guys got me thinking here now. Should I really call? Let me see here. Commissioner Cole, how are you doing? Fidel Albert, all of you. Fidel Albert here, let me see, is the probably the few who says no. Who say no. Fidel is saying no, he will talk to you as how he talking to those people. Are you kidding me? Nah, man. That won't happen. The most he can do is probably hang up on me. And that's okay. Right? What else is happening? What else is happening? He's watching. He's probably waiting for the call. He's probably waiting for the call. Let me see here. Sandra Hanover said, please do not. Paulette Grieve said, don't call. Yvette DeAndre said, don't call. You guys know I'm tempted to call, right? I'm tempted. All right, let me call. Y'all waiting for a call, right?
Hello?
Hi, good night, Lemon. You're live on the air. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. You didn't come to work tonight, man. What's going on?
No, I just get off the plane,
Yeah. So how is it? What's going on in Guyana? You just got off the plane, Lemon. What's happening? You don't come to work. What's happening?
I was in Guyana. I was in Atlanta doing a project, school-wise, and I got late, so I didn't get a chance to call you. I was in the air flying.
You were in the air flying.
Yes.
Okay. So you were in the air flying, and we're supposed to believe you were in the air flying.
Well, believe me, I told you I was going to Atlanta.
Let me. Oh, some folks said they thought I was calling Ali. I said I was making a call. I didn't tell you guys I was calling Ali as yet. We're talking to Lemon right now. So Lemon, what is your take on what Irfan Ali did yesterday at that so-called meeting?
Well, according to what I see, he's a dictator, and I'm surprised those ministers, so-called ministers, sit down and let them talk to him like that. He has no respect for his ministers and the people in Guyana. That was shameful.
Shameful. Anything else happening that's bothering you, Lemon? What's your take on Mike Pompeo going to Guyana so often?
Well, the Guyana government offered him some deals, so he went for his deal.
So you think, mind you think that there is some deal that was offered?
Yes, and I would get to the bottom of that, because I will be going to Guyana and investigate that.
All right, Lemon. What's
in
what?
in a few days.
What else happening, Lemon? What else happening?
Well, it was that the next election, I will go out and vote and get rid of those vagabonds in office.
Yeah, you will vote. All right. What is your take on the American elections and the threats of a mass deportation of individuals in the U.S.?
That's a shame. That's a shame what Trump want to do. Deporting people, I don't mind you deport the criminals. Like if Nandalala and those guys who were criminals, deport them.
So those who live over here, whether they are legal or not legal or whatever it is, that is what he's talking about. Nandalal them is a different story. They're in Guyana.
Well, I mean,
I try to break these things down properly for you, Lemon, but like it's not getting through to you. But go ahead, continue.
That's all, and I'm waiting for my right to come pick me up and to go home.
Thank you, Lemon. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Safe flight wherever you are.
Yes, and I'll be there tomorrow at work.
Thank you. I'm sure you will. All right. Take care, Lemon. Yep. All right, guys. At least I placed a worthwhile call there. Lemon, always happy to come on the air and talk. Always happy. Okay, so what's going on there now? Another fire again. Some Danraj auto. Another fire. The owner of Danraj Auto Sales lost his home in an afternoon blaze at Lagrange, West Bank, Demerara. West Bank, Demerara. Another fire. Every day is a fire. Every single day is a fire in Guyana. Every single day. Now, let's get back. A lot of people are talking about this embarrassment here. Lots of people all over are talking about this embarrassment, and you can't blame them. So we jump from one embarrassment to the next. And so Irfan Ali called a press conference with just women journalists. The AFC is saying if they get into office, they'll get an all-women bank, a bank for just women alone, a bank for just women alone. You see, elections time, all the promises, the promises, the promises, the promises, and the promises. A bank for just women alone, just women alone. That's what the AFC is promising. Irfan Ali called a press conference with just female journalists and reporters alone. What next? What next? Are we going to have public transportation just for women alone? And then what's going to happen with the likes of Angel and Lilawati and so forth, the Lilawati on TikTok? What's going to happen to them? Which bus they're going to go in? I don't know. What's happening in Guyana? These politicians have to stop with all these promises and promises and promises and promises. I've never heard of a bank for just female alone. Oh, man, come. The AFC overdoing the do now, man, with all these sort of ridiculous promises. That's just my opinion, mind you. You need a proper banking system for everyone, where women, housewives, can stay at home and make a purchase, digital purchase, and all these different things. I give example, like, for example, in China, you go even at a fish market to buy fish or vegetables or whatever. You don't pay cash. You just whatever it is. They just scan your stuff and that's it. It's done with. Male, female, it doesn't matter. The Lilawatis, the Angels, it doesn't matter. And so these politicians, and I hope those guys in the AFC know that I'm being constructive here. I'm offering my opinion. that to promise them, that to promise women in Guyana that they're going to build a bank just for women. I don't know. When I saw that, I wanted to ask the question, bank? Are they talking about a bank, financial bank, or another bank from the East Bank, West Bank? Or are we going to get South Bank, West Bank? I don't know. AFC, come on. Y'all making too many promises that y'all know cannot become a reality. Yeah, too many promises. Too many promises. Good night again to all of you. What's happening in your neck of the woods? The Prime Minister of India is going to be in Guyana on the 19th, that is next week, the 19th to the 21st. I hope the Prime Minister of India would take the opportunity to meet with members of the opposition. Meet with members of the opposition. Simple as that. Don't make it look as though it's a one-sided affair. Remember, Mr. Prime Minister Modi, that it was the PNC government that started a good relationship and cooperation with the people of India. It must continue. Do not allow these Pakus in the PPP, not because some of their ancestors are from India and so forth, that they are going to try to say, "Ala be a one family. Open the door, let Modi come in." Right? Do not fall for that. Guyana has always, the people of Guyana, all the people of Guyana have had a good and a strong relationship with the people of India. The PNC under Forbes Burnham, under President Hoyt and President David Otto Granger, they've all shared a warm relationship with the people and the government of India. Do not allow the Pakus in the PPP, the Katahars and the Korhis and the Chamars at Freedom House use you as a political pawn or a tool in Guyana. Kindly meet with the opposition. Meet with folks in the opposition. Have a joint meeting with the combined opposition, except Asha Kisoon. She's not part of the opposition. She is drinking soup with the so-called regime, the installed regime. So, Mr. Prime Minister Modi, hopefully your trip will be a success and that there would not be a divide kind of politics in Guyana. That is what the PPP wants, a divide and rule politics. Do not fall for that, Mr. Prime Minister. I know India has their own political problems with Congress and your party and other people who might feel a way about your government in India. But as you travel to Guyana, know that the Guyanese people have shared a warm relationship with folks from your country, either through ancestral linkage or friendship, bonds of friendship, Raki, and all these sort of things. Do not be tricked by the PPP regime. That's all I wish to say as of now. What else is happening in your neck of the woods, guys? What else? Is anybody talking about Moody? Oh, there we go. Tony Hack is saying Moody is this and Moody is that. Right? Tony Hack don't make joke, right? He tells it like it is. He's a abuser or she or whatever. They like views. Tony Hack, good night to you, sir. All right, so what else is happening? What else is happening? Republicans win majority of the U.S. House. It means, what does this mean, guys? All of you political science students, what does this mean? What does this mean? It means that there is a one-party rule in the United States of America, a one-party rule. You have the Republicans who are in charge of the Senate, They're in charge of the House, that's Congress. They're in charge, well, majority of the justices are conservative, and they also in charge of the executive branch of government. As Ned Beckett says, until midterms. But one thing you got to say about these guys, Trump guys, they won the elections on November 5th, and they already started campaigning for 2028. They've already started their campaign for 2028. Do not be fooled, guys. Do not be fooled. And so if they already start their campaign for 2028, why can't the Democrats or whatever, why can't they start their campaign for the midterm elections to take back the House? Now is the time to start the campaign, the midterm elections campaign. It's the time to do it right now. Carlton Popo Anthony says, LFS, that is Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, was best friends with Indira Gandhi. And Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, so this is not the first. I want folks to know that this is not the first Prime Minister of India to visit Guyana. You guys know, right, that Prime Minister Indira Gandhi visited Guyana. You guys are aware, right? You guys are aware that Prime Minister Indira Gandhi visited Guyana, and that was many years ago. Under the PNC, she was in Guyana, visited Guyana, close friends with then, I believe it's Prime Minister Forbes Burnham. How many of you are old enough to remember that? How many of you? Please. Don't be ashamed to say y'all old. How many of you guys remember the visit of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi to Guyana? How many of you guys remember that? So don't let the PPP tell you guys that, oh, this is the first in history. It's not. It's not the first. Take a look at this. India's Prime Minister Indira Gandhi being presented with a pictorial album of her state visit to Guyana in 1968. In 1968, she was there in Guyana. Take a look, guys. Take a look. Take a look. So do not, especially the younger folks, young people. We have quite a few young people watching this show. Jai Shrikant, young. Shondell Griffith, young. Andrea D, young. And the rest are elderly folks like me. So India's Prime Minister, take a look, guys. India's Prime Minister in Guyana. And you guys know in 1968 what happened, right? There was a coalition government in 1968. Coalition government existed since then. 1968. Y'all know how that coalition was formed, right? You guys know that coalition, how it was formed. And now Indira Gandhi. Y'all know the history of Indira Gandhi, a brilliant woman. Take a look at this. But the PPP wouldn't be telling you guys this here. They wouldn't be telling you that the best relationship started with India, started under Prime Minister Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. Leslie Hamilton is saying, I wasn't born yet. How you know when I would? Look, man, don't. Look, somebody put Leslie out this place. Put her out the gate. Sound like Irfan there for a minute, right? Irfan there. Yep. So that's it. Know your history, guys. Know your history. As the guys in Belladrum and those places would say, know your history. Know your history. Indira Gandhi, of course, you know who her dad was. I believe her husband was Rajiv Gandhi. Or we get this mix up. No, her son was Rajiv Gandhi. Sorry, Indira Gandhi was assassinated. Her son Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, and now the opposition leader is Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi. You see, I know the whole Gandhis, Rahul, well, I almost did an interview with Rahul when he was at Harvard, because he's an Harvard grad. But we have Tom Anderson with us. Thank you so much, Lemon, for doing a good job ensuring that Tom is with us. Mr. Anderson, good night. And you came just in time when we were talking about the visit by Mr. Moody, Prime Minister Moody, to Guyana. And I'm just reminding folks that Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was in Guyana under Prime Minister Forbes Burnham, who invited her there, and they had this close relationship under the PNC, under Prime Minister Burnham. All of the holidays we have in Guyana right now, and they love to say Burnham was a racist, but all of the holidays we're enjoying, all of the Hindu holidays, all of the Muslim holidays, the Christian holidays, and so forth, guess what? Forbes Burnham made those days a holiday in Guyana. Good night and welcome to Straight Up. I might as well say you're my co-host. You've been on, and I'm thanking all of your time, because I know you'll be busy with your university job, you'll be busy writing your books, and you have tons and tons of other stuff that you do for newspapers. How are you doing, Tom?
Hey, great. Good night, everyone. Glad to be on again. Nah, man, I always have time to jump on. Look, we've been at this mark now for what, like 15 years almost. So, like,
yeah,
coming on, and
we've been at this for about 15 years, but for the most part, we've been very quiet about it. It's only now you're public about it, and I'm thankful for you now. Maybe, yeah. Thank you so much, Tom. I know a lot that you have done. We've been at it for 15 plus years. Tom, what is your take, sir, on this visit to Guyana, Prime Minister of India?
Well, I always have the opinion that, and I've said this before, that, the nation of Guyana has an opportunity to be a leader in our part of the world, right? To be a place where the old world, the Indians, the Chinese, Pakistanis, or the old world can come over to the new world and enjoy some of what goes on in the new world the way we do it, right? And so I've always felt like the people of Guyana are the perfect people to be like the middle ground between the two. So this is a great visit, and it's not about who's racist and who is. And I saw some stuff in the comments. It's not about that. What it's about is the future of Guyana, where the people want to take it. And if these other leaders around the world want to assist the people in going to where the people want to go. And I know the people of Guyana want to take the nation to a great place. And so this is all about opportunity, and it's all about the people of Guyana making their voice be known, and like I keep saying, organizing and moving on it to make sure that everyone in the region and everyone internationally knows where the people of Guyana are and what they expect and what they want, no matter who the leader is, whenever they come.
No matter who the leader is, and no matter when they come. And so this visit of Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi, to Guyana, we should all, regardless of Modi's politics in India, and lots of people have issues with Modi. I'm just basing this on the fact that Guyana has had a very cordial and very warm relationship with the people of India. And so this dated back since when Prime Minister Burnham was in office. The PNC And so I was just suggesting, Tom, that maybe Mr. Moody should pay the opposition folks a visit as well in terms of extending that
He
thanks
should.
to the PNC.
He should. I think anyone, I would advise anyone who's on the outside, me being an outsider, right? I would advise, and all the people in Guyana should hear this. You all should know that the people coming in from the outside should respect both parties in your nation. Why? Because no matter what happens, no matter who's leading, whoever the lead party is, it takes both parties now to really run this nation and to put it to where it needs to be. And so I would encourage everyone on the outside to come in and meet with the opposition. And it's not about trying to boost them up and help them replace the PPP. No, man. What it's about is everyone recognizing and knowing and understanding that it's going to take a group effort in Guyana. It's going to take everyone together to get the nation to where it needs to be. And people like Modi, I believe, can be good influences on that and can help. But yes, meeting with the opposition is a big deal and should happen.
Yeah, we see him there with President David Arthur Granger. And they seem to have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. I don't know how they're going to, or what sort of discussion they'll be having with these guys who are there right now. Anyways, thanks to the PNC, they ensure that strong relationship between the people of Guyana and the people of India started off in 1968 when India's Prime Minister Indira Gandhi visited Guyana. All right, so moving on to some other stuff, Tom. Former CIA director, former U.S. Secretary of State, again visited Guyana just a couple days ago. In my opinion, this obviously is not an official visit. I don't know. But I like to ask the regime, those in Guyana, the Irfan Ali's government, what was the purpose of Mr. Pompeo's visit to Guyana? Is he now a consultant to the PPP regime? Is he a consultant to Exxon? What exactly is he doing? What's the nature of their relationship right now? The people of Guyana have a right to know. Your take, Mr. Anderson.
Well, I would always warn any American who is going there for private business to be wary and to understand that the systems in Guyana right now aren't the systems that you need to have in place to make sure that everything that you do is above board and legal and right by law, unfortunately. And so until they can get their systems in place to where everyone knows what's going on, for example, there should be a system in place where, like we have here in the United States, we have something called FARA. And the FARA database is where foreign nationals, when they want to come here to influence our government, they have to register. It's simple. That's all. Just register. That's something that the people of Guyana should request and should have. And so that way there aren't any questions as to why is Pompeo visiting. You'll know because he would have to file and it'd be right there in a database that anyone could access. This is easy stuff. It doesn't cost a lot of money, right? And so these are the types of things that have to be in place. And I encourage anyone from the outside trying to come in and do business to try to get this stuff in place. Why? Because here's the problem in the United States. We have a law called the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. And what it means is this: even if you're a United States citizen or a representative of a U.S. company, if you do anything in another foreign nation that could be corrupt, that could end up creating corruption in that nation, then you can be prosecuted here in the United States for that. So that's the problem with private citizens going to Guyana right now from the U.S. And that's what's hampering a lot of the business that could be happening between U.S. companies and the nation of Guyana. Is a lot of people outside of Mike Pompeo who are American businessmen know it's going to be really hard to do business there without running afoul of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, because almost everything you do in Guyana has to be something that in the United States is considered illegal. It's considered illegal. A lot of stuff that happens there is not considered illegal. Even if it is, it's not. But over here it is, and you will get in trouble for that, right? And so that type of stuff is a problem. There's no transparency in Guyana. No one knows what's going on. And so I'm not sure what Pompeo is doing there. I have no idea, but I do know that he has to be cautious because what's going on in that nation in Guyana right now is something that there's a lot of corruption. It's just the bottom line. And if you're an American and you get in the middle of that, then you fall under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and you could be prosecuted. So it's a really tricky situation what Pompeo's doing.
Tricky situation indeed. Tom, and you did mention the FARA Act and so forth and getting that information as to who's really doing business because they have to register. But what is your take, though, that days after President-elect Trump said there's no place in his cabinet for Mike Pompeo, former CIA director, former U.S. Secretary of State, many thought that he probably would have been given a position in the Trump administration because right after Biden won the elections, Pompeo was out there saying a lot of weird stuff in favor of Trump. Take a listen, please.
Hi.
Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team? And if not, at what point does a delay hamper a smooth transition or pose a risk to national security?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. All right? We're ready. The world is watching what's taking place here. We're going to count all the votes. When the process is complete, there'll be electors selected. There's a process. The Constitution lays it out pretty clearly. The world should have every confidence that the transition necessary to make sure that the State Department is functional today, successful today, and successful with the president who's in office on January 20th, a minute afternoon, will also be successful. I went through it.
Well, that was back in 2020 after Biden won the election. He said that January 20th, 2021, there will be a second Trump term, a second Trump administration. That was kind of weird. But what we do know that 4 years later, there will be a second Trump administration as of January 20th, 2025. But guess who wouldn't be part of that? Mike Pompeo. Now, since Trump posted that the former Secretary of State and former CIA Director, Michael Pompeo, is not going to be part of his cabinet, days later, he showed up in Guyana. What's happening there, Tom?
Well,
I'm trying to read
what it
your
looks
mind.
like,
What's going on?
yeah. So if I'm looking at it, I'm saying to myself, well, obviously, the news that Pompeo wouldn't have a position within the Trump administration was something that Pompeo had to talk about personally to the leadership in Guyana for some reason. Now, he couldn't pick up a phone and call them. He couldn't do it via email. So whatever the conversation was, it had to be face to face in Guyana. Now, I don't know why he would need to do that after the news breaks that he will not be in the Trump administration. But it sounds like maybe there was some deal to be had and he had to go explain what this was, that basically he still has whatever he's promising on this end with the U.S. government. I don't know. The problem is the reason why I think he wasn't picked is because he's the type of guy who he's smart enough and has enough connections in government that he's uncontrollable. That if you give him a position that the people in the Trump administration will not be able to control him. Even if they give him an order and say, you have to do, he doesn't have to listen to anything they have to say because he's so experienced. He has so many contacts and he would be so powerful in any position that he's in that he would do whatever he wanted to do. And no one would be able to control him. So that's why I believe he was ultimately not picked. And so with that said, that doesn't mean he doesn't have influence. That doesn't mean that he won't still be able to have a bunch of influence in the Trump administration. And I think that's what he was coming down to Guyana to tell the leadership here is that, don't worry, guys, I still have the influence. It's just that they don't want someone like me in a place of high office or in a high position of power, because if I get in there, I'll be uncontrollable. That's basically what it is, right? So I think that's the conversation he had. I don't know why he needs to have these kinds of conversations, but clearly he's got some really big business deal going on of some type. And it's very important to him personally, almost at the top of the list for him to travel so soon after the news broke he wouldn't be in the administration. So it's going to be good to see and interesting to see where this goes from here with Mike Pompeo.
But I'll tell you this though. Tom. When you look at body language, to me, that handshake and the facial expressions and so forth, my conclusion is that they have sealed a deal. And sooner rather than later, it will be said and known publicly that Mike Pompeo is working on behalf of the PPP regime, either as a consultant or something. We have got to know this. The people of Guyana, they have to know, they have to get the facts. And Air Finale should come straight out and tell the people whether Mike Pompeo has been employed by the PPP regime or is doing some sort of business on behalf of the PPP regime. Do you think we will be able to hear this sooner or later, Tom?
That's interesting. I mean, if he is, I mean, that would be an interesting turn of events, right? Because, Pompeo bringing the type of experience and the type of connections he has to Georgetown to help these guys would be a huge boost for them. So, I don't know how quick they're going to say that, but I'm pretty sure sooner or later people will find out, because there's no way this guy can be operating with his team and stuff down there without people knowing.
And then, of course, the private jets and so forth. I'm sure he didn't fly down there with some JetBlue or whatever. It had to have been a private jet. And who is paying for it? Is it the taxpayers of the United States of America? Is it the installed government of Guyana and the taxpayers of Guyana paying for it? These are questions that ought to be answered. But again, it's Guyana.
I don't know. Well, I think, you know what, though? I think that's okay, though. That's fine. Whoever they pick is fine.
What's fine?
I think if they pick him, if they fly him around with that's fine. That's going to happen, right? What matters is, and I keep saying this, right? It doesn't matter how many consultants they bring in. It doesn't matter how many private jets they put together. None of that matters if the people of Guyana bound together, they come together, they organize, they mobilize, and they do what they need to do in country. That's all that matters, right? And so all this other fancy stuff they're trying to pull off, in my opinion, I don't know how that's going to work in Guyana, especially a guy like Mike Pompeo. He has no cultural connection to the nation. He doesn't really know what's going on there. He's a powerful guy.
With business deals and millions of US dollars, you don't need cultural.
Yeah, but that's not going to win elections. That's not going to win elections, Mark. And so that's the key is, this is all political at the end of the day. And so, is he going to be that much of a boon or a help to the PPP politically if that's what he's doing? I doubt it. Okay, I really do. I think they need people in there that understand. The PPP need to have people who know a little bit more about Guyana and the people of Guyana than Mike Pompeo if it's going to work. And I'm not knocking Mike Pompeo, but he knows a lot about the United States. What does he know about Guyana? Nothing. So, there's not much he can do. I'm sorry.
Other than an elections that saw the PPP rig its way into office, compliments of some outside of Guyana. The judiciary, judicial officers were threatened. The GCOM officials were threatened. It was a nightmare in Guyana, Tom, and the truth will come out. And the truth is that the PPP rigged the elections, and they were, of course, installed by some friends. So sooner than later, the truth will come out. But what is your take before we move on to some American politics? 4+ years, they're still trying to blame these people. No evidence, nothing, and they cannot get their court case started at all. How unfair is it to these people who, in my opinion, are being persecuted?
Yeah, this is a long running thing that's going to continue too. I mean, this is the type of stuff that happens in Guyana, unfortunately, and they're gonna continue to try to work through the system, which is broken. It's unfortunate and it really sucks. But yeah, this is just emblematic of the issues that happen in Guyana that should not be happening. These types of things should be cleared quickly, especially when you're dealing with elections. It just makes no sense.
Absolutely, should be cleared quickly. Makes no sense. They're persecuting these folks. Obviously, they have no evidence against these people. They're just using these folks as the boogeyman, boogeywoman, so to speak, to continue to brainwash the nation. But I think majority of Guyanese already know the truth. The PPP run from the truth. They don't want the elections petitions to be heard. They did every single thing to prevent the elections petition from being heard. So we know what's going on here. But do we know what's going on here, Tom, as we see CIA official with top secret clearance, Tom, top secret clearance, charged for leaking highly classified documents about Israel's plans to strike Iran. What's your take on this?
He was clearly a Muslim guy, and where did they caught him in like in Thailand or something, out in Asia or something?
Yeah, Cambodia.
In Cambodia, exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, we're going to see more of this, right? And this is why I brought up the issues I brought up with Guyana and their position when it comes to Iran and China and other nations who are enemies to the United States and who are actively working to do bad things to America, you know, and I'm not trying to blame the PPP or anything like that, you know, because they're not personally doing it, but when they get in business with people whose business is to hurt innocent Americans, you're going to run into problems, right? And then on top of that, you have the situation we have, and you can see it happen. It's going to happen more and more, where as the world starts to change politically and sides start to clash more and more, like Israel starts to expand its territory, you're going to see people within our government, different officials, start turning and trying to help the people, the nations who are opposed to Israel. And that's why when you see the picks that Trump has put in place, like Marco Rubio and these guys, Mike Huckabee, these guys are 100% behind Israel, and not just behind them, but they believe Israel should be able to expand their land as far as they can. If that engulfs the entire Middle East, fine. They don't care. They want it to go as far as possible. So with that said, if you look at what the PPP has positioned themselves in the way they've done it, they've positioned themselves to be aligned with a lot of people who are anti-Israel, anti-Israeli. And so you're going to find a lot of conflicts here, a lot of problems here between us and Guyana and the leadership, as long as the PPP is in power, because of their partnership with guys who are Muslim and who tend to want to do harm to us, so much so that we have people working for us who are Muslim who are now helping Iranians. So, yeah, that's a big deal, and it's going to start happening more. And I'm telling you, the people of Guyana should pay attention and notice who the PPP is doing business with, who they are aligned with, because more and more they're aligning themselves with countries and nations that are so far away from Guyana, that have nothing to do with the politics of Guyana, but for whatever reason, the PPP is aligned with them and helps them in the United Nations, gives their vessels Guyanese flags so they can get around sanctions. This is the kind of madness that the people of Guyana have to ask, why are we doing this? Who are these guys? And why are they so important to us? So that's the road that the nation's going down. And the PPP is going to have to start making a choice as to where they want to go. Do they want to continue to be aligned with the Iranians and with people who want to harm America? Or are they going to start aligning more with us? And they have to make a choice quick, because guys like Marco Rubio, they're going to want to know if the PPP are anti-Israel or not. That's what they're going to want to know first before he finds out if they're anti-American or not. He's going to want to know, are you anti-Israel or not? And so that's a heavy deal when it comes to the PPP, and we'll see. But yeah, this lets you know, man, when you've got CIA guys flipping to help the Iranians, this has gotten crazy, and it's only going to get crazier.
Crazy indeed. I noticed somebody asked that Tom, Mike Pompeo was head of the CIA, director of CIA. He should know a lot about Guyana. But what Tom was talking about culturally, the people on the ground, not about information. But even though Pompeo was head of the CIA, director of CIA, he should know of the PPP's connection to Iran and other terrorist organizations and so forth. And yet he's so comfortable shaking these guys' hands and doing business, so to speak, quote unquote, with them?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So like I say, you can't really blame the PPP for doing business with some of these guys who end up being terrorists and stuff, because you can't tell who these guys are. It's impossible to know. And yes, Pompeo was CIA, head of CIA, but when you're the head of the CIA, the main thing you pretty much figure out is most of the world is full of bad guys. They're like everywhere. And so in order to operate, you're going to have to operate with some bad guys. It's impossible to make it through the world if you're someone very powerful, just dealing with nothing but good people. It's impossible. You're going to be dealing with sometimes really bad guys. And you have to be able to thread that needle. You have to be able to stick with your convictions and do what you believe, but at the same time deal with people who may be really bad, right? And so that's why when I say he doesn't know much about, the people of Guyana, what I mean by that is yeah, he was briefed, and yeah, he can study in a book about the nation, right? But does he really have a feel for what's happening on the ground? Does he have an understanding in his mind of what the average person in Guyana does when they wake up every morning until they go to sleep at night? He doesn't have that understanding. He doesn't really know those things. And the only way you can know those things is if you've actually spent time as a regular, normal person with regular, normal Guyanese. Now, for example, me, I've spent a lot of time with regular Guyanese here in the United States, here in South Florida. We have a huge Guyanese community down here. I can go down the street. I can literally walk down the street to a roti shop and get me some roti from a Guyanese woman. So, so I actually know I can actually eat roti down here. I can actually do a lot of things with Guyanese people. I can go watch a match of cricket, as a matter of fact, at a park near my house if I want to, and there will be a lot of people from Guyana playing in the cricket match. Mike Pompeo, not so much. Okay, and so that's the difference, and that's why when a guy like Pompeo is coming to Guyana, if he's going to do political work, if he doesn't understand the people, if he doesn't understand the food that they're eating, if he doesn't understand the regular people on the ground, there isn't much he can do politically. There just isn't. I'm sorry. He's not going to be able to help that much. And that's what I meant by that. Now, with that said, he can bring business to Guyana. He can do a lot of things. He can talk to people in the government of the United States to help the nation of Guyana out here in the United States and abroad. He has a lot of connections in that way. But when it comes to actually winning elections on the ground in country, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be very helpful for that.
Unless officials are being bullied, as what happened in the 2020 elections. But moving away from that, though, Tom.
Oh, but Mike, here's the thing. I'm gonna repeat though, the way that you can't bully the entire nation, and that's why you need numbers, and that's why you have to organize, you have to mobilize. I keep saying it because when there are numbers, big, huge numbers, there will be no bullying. That's how you beat that, right? And so that's what has to happen. The people of Guyana have already experienced some of this stuff, and I think it's about time. I'm going to continue saying it until people really get it, because once people start to organize and start to mobilize, they will then see the power that brings. And once they see that, that's when the nation will change.
Thank you so much, Tom Anderson. Let's move now to we may soon have an attorney general in the United States of America who was once accused in terms of trafficking of little girls, and accusations, serious accusations, mind you, could possibly be the next attorney general of the United States of America, Matt Gaetz. What is your take on the choice for attorney general?
So that, I believe the choice, this is all about two things. Number one, I believe the Trump people want to be able to control the office of the attorney general like it's their own personal law office. That's number one. And so in order to do that, you have to have someone in place who will allow you to do that, and Matt Gaetz will allow them to do that. Okay. But then number two, I think this might be a little bit to do with revenge. Okay. I think that the Trump people want revenge really badly. And this guy, Matt Gaetz, is the perfect guy because he's going to want to get revenge himself. And so what I foresee, the reason why they're picking him is because they want him to drum up a bunch of political cases to go after every single Democrat that could be a political threat going forward to anything that the Republicans want. And that'll be his job. Everything else they're not going to care about. So if there's money laundering going on, if there's drug lords smuggling fentanyl, they're going to skip all that. They're not going to care about that. What they're going to care about is who was our list of Democrats and how are we going to take them out. And that's what this pick is all about, in my opinion.
For those of us who have been in America for quite a long time, and especially you lived in America practically all your life, not practically. It's kind of like a different kind of America that we're accustomed to, where we depend and we look forward for the pillars of democracy, freedom of speech, and transparency, and a government, a president sitting in the Oval Office that will respect the rule of law and respect the constitutional rights of citizens, and would demonstrate such to the outer world, and so that the outer world can take examples of the decency and democratic values from the United States of America. That seemed to have been shoved under the rug for the most part, where you have elected officials. They're not in offices yet, but yet the threats. I don't know. For me, I'm saying that I'm seeing a different United States of America. And it's not the America that we're all accustomed to, feeling comfortable because of democracy. Many people ran from countries after being persecuted and all manner of things. And when those dictators in those other countries see the behavior of elected officials going after their political opponents, prosecuting and persecuting their political opponents, it will embolden dictators like in Guyana and other places. How are you feeling about this new America, Tom?
Okay, so I hate to break it to everyone. Even though this is a new America, it's not one of our worst forms. Actually, we have been worse in the past, believe it or not. And I will give you an example of what I mean. I remember when I was a young boy in Miami, I was in the car with my dad and some of my siblings, and we had to stick our hands out of the car window to show that we didn't have white skin. And if we had white skin, we would have been ripped out of our cars and probably bad things would happen to us. And why did that happen? Because there were riots going on in Miami at that time. And what were the riots about? What they were about was, for years, the Cuban police officers in Miami were gunning black men down in the streets like dogs, gunning them down in the back, shooting them, raping. I mean, it was just horrendous. Okay. And there was nothing at all that the government would do to help any black man on the street of Miami at all. It got so bad that the people started rioting. I say that because a lot of the laws that were implemented after that were put in place to abuse black men. So you had people like Hillary Clinton, who came in as first lady and called all young black men, and who I was one at the time, super predators. In her eyes, I was a super predator back in the early 1990s. Okay. And so this idea that we've changed, nah, man, we've been really bad. And let me just say this. My father grew up in a time in America where he couldn't drink from a water fountain that wasn't for black people out in the back, that wasn't even cold water, that was probably dirty and contaminated. So he couldn't drink at the same water fountains as whites. He couldn't use the same bathrooms as whites. He couldn't vote half of the time. He's still alive, my father. He's not dead. He's still alive. And so this idea that America has changed, nah, man, like what we're seeing is a new version of it. But I can promise you, we have been way worse. It's just that we've had a situation where we didn't have cell phones everywhere, where people could record everything. And we didn't have citizen journalists. It was a controlled media where you only had 2 or 3 news channels. You only had a couple of big newspapers, and they controlled everything the population knew about anything. And so the world didn't even know how bad America was and how abusive America was and how corrupt America was for so long. So I'm not worried right now. As a matter of fact, I know everyone's like, oh, this is craziness. Nah, man, I've seen way worse. The only difference is people don't know about the past and how crazy it was here compared to now. So it's not a big deal to me, man. I think we keep rolling. We do what we've got to do. And that's why my advice to the people of Guyana is the same advice I take here. We have to organize here and we have to mobilize here. We can't play games, man. We have to be serious, because when we are lackadaisical, we end up in positions like I was as a kid, where police officers are gunning us down like dogs in the street with impunity and no one caring about it. The only way to stop that is to organize. The only way to stop that is to get the group up in numbers and stand up for yourself and allow the authorities to know you're not going to take it anymore. And so that's what the deal is. And I think I'm still very, very happy about the direction of the United States compared to where we've been in the past. And yes, this may be a little bit of a bump in the road, but I think it'll all correct itself in the end, in my opinion.
Yeah, in comparing to the decades, the human rights, the civil rights movement, and when Black folks were lynched and all manner of things, and called dogs were sent after them. We saw the civil rights leaders, some of them were assassinated, persecuted. We saw all of that. Those times we thought were changed because we're long gone. But we're seeing signs where elected officials have no respect for the rule of law, have no respect for the Constitution, and all manner of things. And that is what I'm talking about, Tom. I know you've lived through the period where you guys just had to be careful out there where you are. But I'm also wondering, because you're from a mixed background as well. Maybe someday we can talk a little about that experience. One side being what it is, and then the other side, you're shaking your head. How was that experience like, Tom?
Hey, it was rough, man. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy. It was harder for my mom. If everyone wants to know, my mom is white. Her family's from Germany, actually, huge Germans in New Jersey, out of Jersey, man. And it was actually a lot harder for her because, people would treat her like she was a pariah because I was her son, because they would look at her and then look at me and see dark skin and go, ugh. You could see them always want to puke in their mouth almost when they would see it. And I would feel, and as a child, I feel so bad for my mom that she would be so ostracized and just treated so poorly by just random people. And she was such a good person. It was just like, I couldn't understand what was going on, so yeah, that was a little rough. Okay. And to see my mom go through that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, we're kind of going back to those days a little bit. It's not as bad as it was back then. Okay. But with that said, we are kind of going back to that. It's unfortunate, but that's what's going to happen in this country, because we have such a well of dysfunctional, negative, toxic hate based on racism. It's everywhere in our country, and it's really hard to get such a toxic, evil, pernicious thing out of the system of a nation's body, right? And we're going through these fits and stuff to get rid of it, but it's going, and it's going to go. It seems, look, what's that saying? It's always, the light comes right when it's like at the darkest, right? It's getting real dark, I know, but there's light around the corner. And that's why you can hear from me, I'm excited, I'm happy, because I see what these guys are doing and it seems crazy, but at the end of the day, I think fundamentally America's headed in the right direction, and this is just a bump in the road to a better place.
Gotcha, and I like the optimism there. That might not be the case for a lot of folks who are out there and are questioning what's to come as it pertains to immigration. Families will be divided. Families will be in what is called modern day concentration camps if these folks go out with whatever it is they wish to do. we're hearing and we're seeing some very bad signs where they're talking about they're going to come into sanctuary cities, whether they're given permission or not. I mean, that to me is very scary. But what is your take on this mass deportation plan, sir?
I mean, look, they're going to try to implement it, and they're out there and they're saying it. They're going to go after the worst first. So they're going after the criminal element big time. I think what they're going to try to do is go after the criminal element, and on top of that, try to do a lot of like pressuring people to leave on their own, right? And so I've thought about this a lot for the nation of Guyana, and I'll tell you from the perspective of some of the officials here, they may look at Guyana as a situation that they can take advantage of. In other words, since there's oil wealth there now, they may be able to get a lot of Guyanese who are here, that are trying to get legal, get them to go back because there's money down there and it's fine to send them back home. And on top of that, they might be thinking, and if they send a bunch of Venezuelans back, the nation of Venezuela can't take all the influx of people back in there. Maybe Guyana can deal with some of those guys and push them over the border into Guyana. How about that? So, I mean, at the end of the day, if the people of Guyana don't kind of wake up and realize that they're in a situation where people are going to start looking to your nation as a place to force migrants there, to look to you guys to foot the bill, to pay for housing for people who aren't even in your nation, also to take back more of your citizens and not have as many come to the United States. These things could happen if the people of Guyana don't organize and mobilize. So it's really important. I believe, and I've told you this before, Mark, and we've talked on the phone. I said, look, man, it's imperative, 100% imperative that you guys as a community get together and who's in your community and who isn't. And the bad guys, they got to go, right? But you have to be communicating with your local law enforcement, not the police officers that you don't know. I mean, the guys who actually live in your neighborhood. You need to be talking to those guys and have that communication with them, because at the end of the day, when the immigration guys come to try to scoop people up and send them away, they're going to be working with local law enforcement. And so the best way to be prepared and know if anything's going to be happening in your community is to be in constant contact with those guys, and not random police officers. No, the police officers who live with you, that personally. You need to be talking to them more and more. Keep that communication open, because it's going to be necessary for the days ahead, in my opinion.
Thank you so much, Tom. And this is my alarm clock that the time is going. But before we go, Tom, I want you to touch on this here. Let's just give probably about a good minute so you can see and hear what's happening here. This is a meeting called 5:30 in the morning by Irfan Ali, who summoned all of his ministers there to talk about contracts. So let's take a listen, please.
This is the only contract you have behind schedule in all the regions and everything. Don't make me. Where is the PS? Where is the PS? At the gate. He's at the gate because he came after 5:30. That's why he's at the gate, because he came after 5:30. Who's the other technical staff in this ministry? You're the head of the engineering department? Huh?
I'm the project manager of City Hall.
So you don't have any other engineers in this ministry? Oh, he's at the gate to the PS too. The head of the engineer is at the gate to the PS. That is why these projects can't complete. The gating. What is the name of the PS? No, I announce it to the country. Miguel Chukan. What is the name of the engineer? What? Satrahan Not. And I want you to be clear with me, Minister, the two ministers. You're saying to me that in none of the regions you have any contract that is beyond 4 months, that is 4 months beyond the project completion date. Because if I find it, any project in the region, 4 months, I want you all to answer carefully. 4 months beyond.
Tom, we've heard enough. Those are two ministers, one senior, one junior. All the other ministers there, Priya Manikjan looks as though she's just mourning something. But what is your take on all that you've heard there, Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, I was like, is this like a high school thing? I mean, whoa. This is, I mean, you know, what can you say? I mean, this is rough, man. It's hard because you can see that. So you clearly have a civil government workforce here who they're professionals. You know, you're talking about engineers here and everything, but they're being treated like lowlifes, right? And being berated. And I don't understand. Like, they should be lifted up. They should be celebrated, right? They're doing the work for the people, right? And so I don't understand what this is about, other than it looks like he's trying to show that he's getting something done. But in reality, you know, the way you know you're getting something done is how is the nation doing? Is the nation doing better? Yes or no? These kind of meetings don't mean anything if the nation isn't doing better, right? And so, yeah, I wish this scene would be more of government employees who have bright looking faces, who look perked up, who look energized, who look ready to go, who look like they're being led by a leader who they respect. But if you look at the body language, that is not the body language, man. I mean, this is a sad state of affairs.
You can tell the female minister, well, I don't know, the male minister, something is happening there, probably. I'm not laughing his tummy, but a bit too much there. But look at the female minister is obviously uncomfortable, the body language, all of them, every single one of them. This is one of the biggest embarrassments I've ever seen or heard of in the history of Guyana. It is shameful. Do you think any official would behave like this in the United States of America?
Yeah, it'll happen here too, bro. Yeah, we get that here too. We get it
publicly.
Yes. Look, we're gonna have Matt Gaetz as Attorney
General. And you know, the funny thing is with Matt and you know, we have some mutual friends who probably anyways, have to say. Your closing remarks, please, Tom, as we hope for the best in the United States of America, in Guyana, and wherever other listeners are from. We want the best, but sometimes we've just got to bear for the worst before we get the best to come again. Your closing remarks, please, sir.
Yeah, you know, I'll just say again, in this last little segment there, you know, that was a sad sight to see, because man, Guyana's in a situation now where it's like the sun is rising, the future ahead is bright. Like, there should be nothing but excitement. Every day should be a day where everyone comes in knowing that they're going to have that by the end of the day, they're going to be exhausted, but they're going to know that every minute of their work helped improve the nation and help bring it to a place that when history looks back, will always look at the people who were in this period of time and have admiration for them and really be thankful for the work that they put in. And that's where everyone should be right now in Guyana, right? It shouldn't be a situation where people are being berated, where they're, you know, hunched over, they're not, you know, it should be the total opposite, right? And so, look, ultimately at the end of the day, what has to happen, and I'll get back to it again, right? Organizing and mobilizing. The people in Guyana have to let the leadership know that they want to be led in a different manner, that they want the type of leadership that they can respect, that they can look up to, that they can know that at the end of the day, that leadership has their back and is always trying to do everything in their power to empower them to be able to do what's best for the nation, right? That's what it should be like, and that's the people have to demand that. And look, Irfan Ali, he can provide it, believe it or not. And I know people go, "Oh no, he can't." Yes, he can.
I'm
Okay,
one
anyone
I'm one
can.
of them. I'm one of them.
I
Oh, no,
know.
no,
I
no.
know.
You should have seen him when he was Minister of Housing and all. Big bluff, Tom. Oh, go ahead, my friend.
I know, but look, but you know what? It doesn't take much, right, to go from having a negative attitude towards the people who work for you to having an uplifting one, and having one where you're constantly that leader that reminds everyone in the room that every moment of every day is history that they're making, that they're bringing Guyana into a new era that generations from now will look back on and go, wow, look what they did. Right. And that's how it should be. So every day should be so exciting. It should never be like this meeting here, in my opinion. And I'm just saying he can change. But the bottom line is the change is going to have to be forced from the people, in my opinion, because until the people demand that kind of leadership, they're not going to get it. And that's what's missing right now. And the people have to demand it. And this is just unfortunate, man. I feel so bad for the workers, man. I feel so bad for the ministers.
No,
This is just
I don't
sad.
feel bad for the ministers because the ministers have done worse to other people, worse. So in Guyana we get Dufeduna Obia. I don't know if you know that Dufeduna Obia. Dufeduna Obia. Some members in the
I don't
audience
know.
will explain that to you. Dufeduna Obia. Karma on some of those, maybe all of those ministers, karma on them. They treat their staff like I don't know, like crap. And so this, what they're getting there is just a fraction of what they have done and what they do to their staff members and citizens of Guyana. So for this, Tom, while I respect your opinion, for this I say good for them. As we say, good for them. They deserve that. It's embarrassing what Irfan did, yes, because he doesn't know better. The poor chap attended a university that we can't find. To this day, we can't find it. Where IFLAT University is, no one knows. This is a man who was charged 19 fraud charges. 19. Anyways, Tom.
I know. Look. You're right. You're correct, Mark. You're right. You're right. It's hard. It is difficult. But with that said, right, I do believe that even Irfan Ali can rise above his situation if the people from the ground up sort of support each other and get the nation to the point where even Irfan Ali has to rise up, right, and fit the mold, the proper position that he needs to be in to lead the people of Guyana. And so what I will say is this, man, is that whatever leadership is happening with whatever behavior is happening from the leaders, it's really a reflection of the people and what they are asking the government to give them. And until the people change the ask, this is going to be what will continue to happen, right? And look, it's not that hard for the people to change what they're asking for. Like, it's pretty obvious. You probably don't want this kind of leadership. You probably want another type. So you have to find the leader who's going to be the different type than this, and you have to support that leader every single day of the week, all year round, until elections come around, and get out in the streets, organize, mobilize, do everything you can for that leader who will believe in you and who will give back to you the what you deserve, right? And that's what has to happen. There's no other way to put it.
The operative word there is a leader. Most Guyanese do not see that in Irfan Ali or these guys. They're hustlers. They're there to hustle. When he became a minister, a big house he got, swimming pool house, lands up the east, the Suzdijk Highway. These guys are hustlers. They're pimps. They're not leaders, Tom. They are pimps. Flatfoot hustlers, draining the blood of the people of Guyana, while hundreds of thousands of people are starving. Hardly any jobs for young people, especially, or people in general. Persecuting people, all these guys are not leaders, Tom. They are hustlers. They're hustlers. Tom.
Yeah.
Before we go, I know we have lots to talk about.
Better, man. The people have to demand better, Mark. That's it.
I agree
people have to demand better.
Yeah, I agree with you. Charlene is saying, Tom, you have a lot of hope, right? Tom,
Yeah, I know,
Tom,
right?
probably, Tom nickname when you were growing up, they used to probably call you Hope. Hope is there.
You
Tom,
know, like I said, I'll tell you where it comes from. Like I said, man, I was in an environment where I saw, police officers gunning down innocent people, just like dogs. I've seen
Tom,
it, so I've
that,
seen
that
it. So
that was that I got you, but not so long ago under the PPP, Jack, they when these guys, people were slaughtered every single day. 5-6 persons murdered in Guyana.
yeah,
Death squads. Ministers of the government were involved in death squads killing people in Guyana, left, right, and center under Jack Day when the PPP, not in Deep
that's
South.
right.
In
That's right.
Guyana, and this was not
Yes.
so long ago. Tom, we got to get
I
this
know.
bank spare. We got to get this bank spare. But before we go, Tom, how do people have been texting me and asking me about your blog? How do they get onto your blog and subscribe and so forth? Can you type
it's
it in
on.
so we can?
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you
on
type-
Substack. Yeah. So let me see if I can pull it up here.
And you guys go on Tom's blog, find out what's going on. He's on to something again. He's always on to something. What is going after Meeks and those guys, and lots of, have lots of work this time around, Tom.
Oh yeah,
let's see
man.
here.
I'm always posting. I'm always working, man. Oh, it won't let me post it, but it's it won't let me put the link. But
What is it, Tom?
I'm typing it in now.
Yeah, let's get so you guys can go out and check Tom out. He has a lot to say. Let me see what's happening here with Tom, and
That's
yeah.
it.
Have you
On
posted it?
Substack. So the site is Substack. Yep.
All right, let's get that there. You guys can go and check Tom out. Let me see if it's going to allow me to post it. Probably not. It's probably too much. Let's see here. Yep, that's it. That's it, guys. I posted it there. Click on it, subscribe, and check out Tom and his podcast and his blogs and his blog. Sorry, his articles.
Yeah,
and so forth.
just so you know, right now, so what's happened is now that the Trump people are in power, I know those people really, really well. So actually my analysis is going to be needed because I can tell everyone what's going to happen before it even happens, because I know how these guys operate. I know how they're thinking. I know what their objectives and goals are across the board. So yeah, you really want to pay attention to what I'm putting up. I'm putting up stuff every day. And right now, I think today I was covering the education stuff and them eliminating the Department of Education. I know exactly what that's all about, and I talked about it today, and also some of the ramifications of it that will occur to the state of Florida and whatnot. So that's what I'm basically focused in on is U.S. politics, and it's going to be huge the next 4 years because I'm going to be one of those experts that you want to pay attention to because I really know what's going on with these Trump guys.
Thank you so much, Tom. You guys go ahead and subscribe and check Tom out. I noticed there's a Johnny Haynes is saying, Tom's the best. Tom is the best. Muhammad Ali was the greatest. The real Muhammad Ali, because you guys know that Irfan's, he's actually Muhammad, Muhammad Irfan Ali, but he doesn't like to be called Muhammad. I wonder why. Anyways, Tom, I'm out of here. We'll see you some other time very soon, but I'll go and check out some of those articles on your site. Thank you again so much for what you do.
Have
Tom.
a good night. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. And to all of our listeners, thank you all. God bless you. Emma, you going to say goodbye? Come on, quickly. Because once Emma is in the studio, Emma knows its time is up for her daddy, right? Good. All right. Love you guys. God bless you. And I'll see y'all tomorrow, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. God bless you.
I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. Can't take it no more. Imagine 18 hours of blackout and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%, yet you give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people. Search your soul and you will confess. They may want the people speak out. Freedom of speech done gone inside the gutter. Knock off when you open your mouth. Discrimination in entertainment, and you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Barrett and Sue. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up.
All the regions and everything. Don't make me where is the PS? Where is the PS? At the gate. He's at the gate because he came after 5:30. That's why he's at the gate. Because he came after 5:30.
Today, I'd like to talk about the harm and disastrous impact the current Vice President of Guyana, Bharat Jagdeo, has brought upon the people of Guyana. Everything he has done has been for his own benefit, never thinking about the well-being of the people or taking any action to improve their lives. Instead of helping the common people live a decent life, he has abused his power from 1999 to 2024 to embezzle at least billions of dollars of public funds, possibly even more. The ordinary people have suffered from unfair treatment and a disastrous quality of life because of him. He's a truly corrupt and evil person, using his special status to commit countless harmful acts against Guyana, all for his own gain. He even has a massive fortune in China, worth billions of dollars, all taken from the people's wealth. Today, I hope everyone becomes aware of his corruption. Let's come together, unite, and help the people of Guyana start a new chapter for a better future.